Hello, Ross. How you doing, buddy? Welcome, everyone, to a very, very special episode of Ballers to Balding. This is not a normal episode. This is our first special. Today, we're diving into one of the most crucial, most overlooked topics in sports. Hair choices. Hair choices. From follicle follies to Hall of Fame flow, today we're celebrating the legends, the transformations, and the domes of destiny. Because records are meant to be broken, but a good head of hair, that can live on forever. Ross, without getting all emotional, why don't you tell our viewers how you feel about doing this episode today?
Well, thanks, Paul. Because, for me, this is probably the most important episode that we've ever done. It may be the most important thing I've ever done professionally. It's funny, again, to give our viewers and listeners an idea behind the curtain. When we started discussing Ballers to Balding, our goal was really to combine our two passions, sports and hair. So to be able to work on an episode like this one, which combines those two, is really an honor and a privilege. And I want to just note that.
It's why you go down this path. It's why you get up in the morning, So we're going to have some various categories. We should probably get right to it. And our first is the best combination of hair and talent in the sports world. And look, we're going to go pretty far back. Some of our listeners might even know some of the people we picked. But you know what? When you're going all time, you're going all time. And there
Absolutely.
are people today that probably are comparable, but they weren't the trailblazers. So these people are really spectacular. And we talked through, and they all brought something different to the game. Why don't you go first and talk about our first person that we picked? Best combination of talent and hair for an athlete.
Well, thanks, Paul. I want to start off with a baseball player. And to me, aside from Oscar Gamble, whose style we'll talk about a little bit later in the context of a basketball player, I would say that this gentleman is the GOAT of hair in baseball. And I'm speaking and talking about, of course, Steve Garvey. The perfect head of hair. You never really had to wonder how Garvey's hair would show up because you already knew. Elite production every single day. I mean, you laugh, but it was never too long. It was never out of place. It looked identical. It did not matter, Paul. You could be in batting practice, which again, even in practice, game 7 pressure, it looked the same. Post-game interview, champagne did nothing to it. It stayed exactly the way it would. And again, you could fast forward 10 years, and I think we have an illustration of that.
Yes, I'll put that up.
It's the same hair. In fact, very little known point that some say that there are only 3 things that survive a nuclear disaster: Twinkies, cockroaches, and Steve Garvey's hair. Tremendous, tremendous dome. And now let's talk about his baseball. No slouch. NL MVP 1974, 10-time All-Star, 4 Gold Gloves, World Series champion. And also, at that time, known as the Iron Man, 1,200 consecutive games without a bad hair day. And the fact is, Paul, let me just end it here. His hair never improvised. It never needed to. His batting helmet, it wasn't for protection. It was literally to keep the hair from distracting the infielders. Which I totally agree with that. And
honestly, can I say one thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
He was wearing that helmet. It was almost a crime that he was in a job where he had to wear a hat every day.
And
you know what?
Absolutely. But that makes it even more impressive. Okay? It's like being a debater. It's like being a debater for deaf people. It's absolutely... I'm telling you, this guy was his hair didn't move as you and I have talked about. His hair didn't move in the wind. The wind adjusted. Yeah. The GOAT of baseball players, Steve Garvey.
I would say his hair didn't move, but it moved us. Okay. That's a great one. Very, very well done. Very well done.
Thank you.
And now great combination of both. Now I'm going to go to someone who's very different. Okay. Ready? Bjorn Borg.
Oh,
Bjorn Borg.
Oh, you're coming out hard. Coming in strong.
Perfect flow. Part Viking, part rock star. I mean, it was feathered, it was long, it was layered. It moved like it had its own slow motion camera crew following it around everywhere. It looked elite, whether he was running or standing. I mean, just the right amount of I woke up like this and won Wimbledon. I mean, look at it. It's like, it's incredible.
It's gorgeous.
And you look at his career, 11 Grand Slam titles, 41 match winning streak at Wimbledon, world number one multiple times, 66 career single titles, first player ever to earn $1 million in a single season in 1979 when $1 million was worth $1 million. That guy, you know, I think one of the secrets to his success was that the opponents were so hypnotized by his hair.
I was.
They say that his headband, it was like a seatbelt. It was like a seatbelt for the most dangerous hair in Europe. Unbelievable. Opponents trained for the backhand, but nobody prepared for the psychological damage of that bouncing slow motion look. Bjorn Borg, one of the most beautiful heads of hair in sports history. And again, I'm going to put a picture, aged well. Even as an old man.
Oh yeah. I would argue his hair may be better as an older man. I mean, he is not to be a little strange, but he is my screensaver. Bjorn Borg is my screensaver. Okay. I don't know if that's odd, but he is. Exquisite hair. Exquisite.
All right,
hair.
We have one more, a different style.
Oh, okay.
A different sport.
Yes, and this actually will call upon the memory also, as I said, of Oscar Gamble. But as good as Oscar Gamble was, this dominated, and it was in basketball. And who am I talking about? Most of you probably know. Julius Erving.
Amazing.
I mean,
Dr. J.
Dr. J. That afro wasn't just hair; it was part of the highlight reel. I mean, it was magnificent. And, you know, the other thing about him was there was never any overstyling. There were no gimmicks. He just teased that shit out, and he looked fantastic. And it was just natural, effortless presence. And the fact of the matter is that every dunk, when he would dunk, you would see the fro lifted with him. And it was hard to actually, you didn't know whether to look at the ball or the hair.
It's true.
I mean, you see like Bobby Jones before he played for the Sixers and he was in the ABA going after the hair and missing the ball. I mean, and again, and this, I would say this is something that's kind of interesting. We're going to touch upon another tremendous basketball player that had this. His hair, because of the way it actually was kind of the same vibe as his game. It was smooth, it was controlled, it was undeniable. And then for practical purposes, I always thought Dr. J was like 6'9", 6'10". Actually, if you saw him in the NBA when he actually took the dome down and took the fro down, he was actually, you could see he was only 6'6". He wasn't that big.
Yeah.
Just a tremendous head of hair. And now his career, I mean, goes without saying. 2-time ABA champion, 1-time NBA champion, 6-time All-Star, All-NBA first team 5 times, All-ABA first team 4 times, over 30,000 points in playing pro basketball. And he popularized the scoop layup and the modern dunk style. A lot of pros, especially like Jordan, etc., he was the first of those guys.
He was the first to make basketball an art form.
Absolutely.
It was like he glided to the hoop, he jumped. He was the first one to jump from the foul line and dunk it.
I actually think there's a picture of his hair in the Louvre. I'm not sure of that. I think there's actually
if there isn't, there should be.
And let me just say this. I watched him against the Celtics. They couldn't guard him, and they certainly couldn't guard his hair. I mean, this was an awesome, different style hair, but fantastic in its own right. And as has been the case with all of our pro all-stars, aged very well.
Yes, they all aged well. They all had very different styles of hair, and they all had iconic hair. And Erving, you know, he was from the age of the afro, but he represented. He was the smoothest, the best. He made it look the best. He made it look the best in the game. No doubt. No doubt.
And in all seriousness, if you watch any documentary on the ABA, one of the first things they say is it was just a cool style and it was different than the NBA at that time.
Yeah.
And one of the first things they show is Julius Erving and his hair. I mean, it's exquisite.
Yeah. I think those are three very good selections. People could come up with others, but remember, this is a combination of tremendous player and tremendous hair. And these guys were iconic, all three of them, for both. They
Absolutely.
really were. And very
Absolutely.
different, too. Very different. And I'd be happy with any of those heads of hair. Really. Maybe Erving would look a little silly on me, but I would do it. I would do it. Well, I think we have to move on to our next topic. And I think this one's a little more serious. This is someone who we have picked as the best hair transformation as an athlete. It's someone that started out maybe I don't want to make it insulting or offend. Hair challenged. That's, I think, how you would say it. I don't know how they say it now. I want to be PC. I don't want to get canceled. And so this is someone who started out with bad hair and turned it around. And of course, there's no one that represents this better than Derek White. Okay? Derek White joined the Celtics in 2022, and he looked like a guy who just got electrocuted mid-layup. Right? And then suddenly he shaves his head and he turns into a two-way menace.
Unbelievable.
I mean, he comes to the Celtics, couldn't shoot threes. He looked stressed and nervous all the time. I mean, he was a decent role player, but I mean, his head looked like Wi-Fi signal interference. It was distracting. It was horrible.
Horrible.
Year two, he made what I call the great bald leap. The great bald leap. He shaved his head, and all of a sudden, he's knocking down threes. He's a knockdown shooter. He's a two-way demon, elite defender, confidence through the roof. And finally, he's aerodynamic as hell. And I would say Joe Mazzulla didn't unlock Derek White. A Gillette razor did.
I agree. I agree.
He did not have hair. That was self-doubt sprouting from his head.
Couldn't take him seriously.
Yes, this was a man who saw his hairline now fucking with him and finally said, you know what? I'm not going to let you win. Goodbye. And that attitude, that translated to the court, man. If you look at the stats, I mean, losing his hair changed his life. Best hair transformation in modern times. There might have been ones from a long time ago we don't know about. But for me, the best hair transformation in modern times by far was Derek White. You agree with that?
I couldn't agree with you more.
Would you remember? Well, who he looked like Kid and Play? Is that who it was? Kid and Play with the hair straight
Yes,
up?
that's a great call. And it just was awful. And he wore a headband, and they even made fun of him. Shaq and Charles Barkley made fun of him.
Did they?
Yeah, they made fun of him because they're like, just your hair looks awful.
I mean, Bjorn Borg wore a headband, and it was fabulous. Derek White wore it, and it was like, oh my God.
Yeah,
take that thing off.
Yeah,
all right. We're going to move on now. Derek White is someone who saw a problem, and he solved the problem, and he became an elite player. And I mean, you can imagine what San Antonio's thinking now. Jesus, why don't we just cut his hair? We screwed up. But some players aren't as bright as Derek. They don't have the foresight. So
not self-aware.
They're not self-aware, right? So I want you to pick a player now who is in the most need currently of a hair transformation.
To me,
who would that be? Athlete.
To me, there's not even a second place. Trevor Lawrence needs new hair. I mean, I think we've reached the point where somebody, whether it be a coach, a teammate, or just a citizen out there, someone, just anyone. Like if I'm walking around, my hair's on fire, and I don't know it, someone say, hey, your hair's on fire. I would feel like someone could walk up to say to Trevor and say, that's awful. That's awful. Okay?
Yes.
And I just don't see that. This is like a guy from Southie with a mullet from 1970, and he's now quarterbacking a professional football team. He's just has awful hair. He does not have the thickness or fullness in order to be able to do that. He cannot wear his hair the way he's wearing it. And I mean, when you see him in a helmet and he's got the long, stringy hair sticking out the back, which is emphasized by the fact that he has a really long neck, I want to take the clippers to him. I don't understand. He's got a wife. Why doesn't she say something to him? Why doesn't anyone say something to him? I am convinced that one of the reasons he will never be a Super Bowl quarterback is simply because of his hair. And here's the thing. It's not even bad hair. It's just the wrong hair. It's like when a guy says, I'm going to wear a leather jacket, but it's July. And you're like, I really respect the commitment,
Yeah.
but this is just not, this is hurting the overall product. It's just not, you can't do it, dude. You can't do it. And the fact is, when you're watching him play, you're not thinking franchise quarterback. You're thinking, I wish that I could cut that hair that's sticking out of the back of his helmet.
I'll tell you this. He's not Bjorn Borg with the long hair,
Oh.
right? He looks more like Bjorn Borg's cousin who's selling paddle boards in Tampa.
And it's just like I said, it's that mullet stringing hair. He looks like, he doesn't look like he's going to win a Super Bowl. He looks like one of these guys at a Leonard Skinner concert putting out the porta potties.
Listen, and you could say, oh, it's just his hair, but I would say 2 words: Derek White. Call Derek.
Absolutely.
Call
Absolutely.
Derek. Maybe
So-
if Derek's, reach out to him. Reach out to Derek.
So that's my guy as the guy who's most in need of a hair transformation.
I think it's excellent. I think you're right. He doesn't pull it off. And the thing you said that was the smartest. And I mean, this is only someone who thinks about hair a lot would say this is. It really isn't horrible hair. It's just the wrong hair for him.
The wrong hair, right?
You know. We're almost wrapping up here. I mean, boy, does it go fast when you're talking about something so significant.
Yeah, right.
Let's
do it.
While everyone
Let's do
has
it.
hair, while everyone has hair, some people don't have hair. Some people don't have any hair. And I think that there have been some great athletes that have been bald. There have been a lot that can't pull it off, but there have been some great bald ones. So I would like to go through the Mount Rushmore of guys who didn't just go bald, but they weaponized it. This isn't male pattern baldness. This is championship pattern baldness. The Mount Rushmore of greatest bald athletes of all time. We have 4. You picked 2. I picked 2. Why don't you start?
Well, let me just add one other criteria. Obviously, if you really want to go to Mount Rushmore, you could have a overemphasis on basketball players. There's a lot of tremendous bald basketball players.
Correct.
So what we tried to do is we tried to diversify our sports to try to get representatives across the board because
Yes.
at Ballers to Balding, we want to diversify.
That's true.
So the
DEI
first
all the way.
So my number 1 comes from football, which of course not an easy selection because they're wearing helmets most of the time. But this guy to me was one of the pioneers on great bald athletes. And I'm speaking about, of course, Terry Bradshaw. 4-time Super Bowl champion, 2-time Super Bowl MVP, Hall of Famer. And he was really one of the first great bald players. Now, he had originally tried to do the comb over, and he was a bit of a disappointment as a player, which is not surprising because
Right.
anyone who does the comb over,
Yeah,
it's
comb over
hard-
is a rough choice. It's a rough choice.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. But then he leaned into his baldness, and he became a Super Bowl champion and a Hall of Famer. And the fact of the matter is, he never shaved the sides. He just went all in. I'm going to look like I'm 50 years old when I'm 25. And I respect that. And I respect the fact that he was acknowledging the hideousness of his male pattern baldness. And it wasn't like he just lost his hair. He outgrew it. I mean, that's how good he was. And he just was a tremendous, tremendous player. And that's my number 1. I'm not number 1. That's my football player.
Yeah,
That's
you're
his own-
first.
Yep.
I think that's an excellent one. And there aren't many football players that are bald, particularly quarterbacks who also were studs. I mean, he was a stud and he was bald. I really pulled it off. I mean, he deserves to be on Mount Rushmore. And again, it's an older athlete, but in his day, he was the man. Now, mine
This is the best.
I mean, mine is not just this. It's like he's not just one of the greatest bald athletes ever. He's one of the greatest men who's bald ever to live. And he's also a reason why we can't do a lot of basketball players, because it's Michael Jordan, obviously. 6-time champion, 5-time MVP, 10-time scoring champion, widely considered the greatest basketball player ever, one of the greatest athletes ever. Once you do Jordan, you can't really do other
Garnett.
basketball players. Right.
Barkley.
I mean, he didn't just go bald. He turned it into a global brand.
Yep.
I mean, his head was so iconic. You know, he'd walk into the gym, you'd already be down 12 points. He's the greatest bald player ever, and also the greatest player ever. Think of what that did for the bald community. It wasn't like they were just saying, "Oh, he's the best bald." We put him on Mount Rushmore, the greatest bald player. But if we put greatest players of all time on Mount Rushmore, he'd still be on there. I mean, he is a bald icon.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question for you too?
I would pay thousands of dollars to polish his head. That's how I feel about it. All right.
Can I ask you a quick question? Would you say that Michael Jordan is the best bald human being of all time? Because we know that Jesus had hair. Okay?
Yeah, that's
we
true.
know Moses. We know those guys all had hair. Is he number one?
I mean, I don't know, greatest, like influential. I mean, yeah, he's up there. He has to be. He's on the ballot. I mean, that's why I said of all the people we're going to talk, we're talking athletes. That's our thing. But I mean,
I know I'm expanding it. I mean, the Michelangelo statue of David. David had hair.
Yeah, he
great
might be
hair.
one of the greatest. He might be on there, one of the greatest bald people ever. I don't know.
Okay,
because I mean, because obviously we're thinking from our lifetime, our generation.
Correct.
There might have been someone a couple thousand years, maybe living, in Mesopotamia, who was a great in a way for their day, and they were bald, and they might have been close to Jordan, but
I doubt it.
All right, next on our list, this is a boxer, and one of the greatest boxers ever, 4-time heavyweight champion, and really, honestly, in his day, in history, not just winning, but considered technique and toughness, one of the greatest boxers ever, Evander Holyfield.
Excellent choice.
I mean, Holyfield's bald head, it wasn't just a look, it was a warning. You knew, right? You weren't just fighting the man. You were fighting a perfectly polished dome with anger issues. And he was even his head looked like it was in shape, It was incredible. It was incredible. I mean, Tyson couldn't get a hold of it. He had to bite his ear off. So I think Holyfield, he's on the Mount Rushmore. He was such a specimen, such a great boxer. All the money in the world. He could have, for the amount of money he made in his prime, he could have had 15 hair transplants. But he didn't. He didn't, because he knew. He knew that his power came from the shine. It came from the shine. He was a bald stud. And I put him on Mount Rushmore, easily one of the greatest ever bald athletes, I mean, Muhammad Ali had hair.
Oh,
right?
Great head of hair. Great head of hair.
Great hair. That's
hair. All right. Our final choice is a baseball player, Albert Pujols. You may be thinking, Albert Pujols. Well, what did he do? Well, he had 703 home runs, 3-time MVP. 3-time MVP, 2-time World Series champions. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. And the fact of the matter is, with Pujols, pitchers weren't just scared of his swing. They were scared of the reflection off his head in the sunlight. And consistent with his winning, he was just so consistent. Like Jordan was so consistent and Irving was so consistent with their hair. That was Pujols. He was just unbelievably consistent winning dome. Now, I would say one thing. thing. He cheats a little bit by having a fantastic goatee like you. But I still say tremendous bald baseball player.
Yeah, he was good.
He's on my Mount Rushmore.
He was like, I don't even have time for hair. I'm just going to hit some dingers. It's just going to get in the way. I don't want it slowing me down when I'm running around the bases, my trot.
Absolutely.
Now, you look at it now, it's up on our screen. It really is impressive. And it makes you think maybe one Mount Rushmore isn't enough in this country. We need, and it's really a testament to every bald guy out there who feels bad because he's follically challenged. And to know that there are heroes like this who didn't have a shred of hair on the top of their head, and they were great, and it's wait a second, I'm getting a little emotional. Anyway, Ross, that brings us to the end of our special. This was cathartic. It was special. It was
passion project. It was a passion project.
It's why we do this. And I hope if there's anyone out there that it helps, it just makes me feel good. You don't have to go to Hair Club for Men. Be happy with who you are. All right?
Absolutely. All right,
I'm sending you a digital hug right now. And I'll see you soon. Take care.
All right, love you, buddy.
Next week it's back to a regular episode.
Sounds good.